What's up guys, it's your host here, Spartanic Arts DxD, back with another high school DxD related video, and this is What If Issei Was Betrayed Part 2. So this story is going to be linked down in the description below, and these do take a while, so please like and subscribe for more. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into Part 2. If Issei were to tell you that he was unstable, he would be telling you the truth, but he would be understating it by a whole lot. He was fucking livid. He didn't want to think about anything and just blow some shit up. He really wanted to vent his frustration, but he calmed himself down in order to avert a disaster and turned to the three fallen angels who were coming with him. "Do you have anywhere to stay? I need to rest and figure out a game plan," asked Issei tiredly. The three fallen angels looked at each other for a bit until Rainier spoke up. "I have an apartment that we can use. Not that big, but it will fit us all," responded Rainier. Issei sighed to himself and looked up to the sky, muttering a few words that were unheard by the rest of the group. He contemplated in just leaving them here and heading straight for the well, but he decided against it since he would need all the allies he could gather for what he had planned. "It will work for now," spoke Issei tiredly. Soon he was following the three fallen angels on the sidewalk as they arrived at a three-apartment complex. Broken windows, clearly run down, but it worked for now. Before he knew it, they were sitting around the table with them all looking at him unexpectedly. They definitely had a lot of questions he needed to answer. "Okay, I know you guys must have a lot of questions for me, so ask away," spoke Issei. "What happened to you? I thought you were close to the devils. How did you die and why didn't they save you?" asked Rainier. "Well, let's put it this way. I was only useful to them for a little bit. And that was to get that bitch of a devil out of her forced marriage. Then, about the time the peace conference happened, they decided it was time to get rid of me like I was yesterday's trash. Long story short, I ripped into each and every one of them about their own problems, then I purged all my evil pieces," explained Issei. "Then how do you still have Drake? If you died, shouldn't he have passed to the next host?" asked Koala, confused. "Well, yes, normally, but I guess Bahamut brought me to a purgatory state to give me a choice. Keep Drake and gain the second sacred gear to help him go back to the land of the living, of course at a cost, or just stay dead," spoke Issei. Everyone's eyes widened at his story. That's why he was the way he was. He was abandoned by everyone and he thought were his friends and family. Now he didn't know who he could trust and if they would just betray him like his old friends and family. Rainier was truly saddened and she made up her mind to help him. "What cost did you have to pay?" asked Donaseek, confused. "Bahamut had two conditions. But now that I think about it, one was just for fun. Since he knew I would get back at them, he wants to give the three factions a huge reality check, and oh boy, I will. Then the other was to rebuild the dragon faction," spoke Issei. Everyone astonished at his goal to rebuild the whole entire dragon faction was nearly impossible, since normally someone couldn't be turned into dragons like devils or fallen, or even angels had a reincarnation system. But the dragons didn't, and they were slowly dying out. "How are you going to rebuild the dragon faction?" asked Rainier. "Bahamut said he gave me the power to turn people into dragons, so I guess when the time comes, I'll figure it out," responded Issei. "What are you going to do about the three factions?" asked Kalawir. "I have a bone to pick with the devils, and Azazel as well, so it won't be an easy punishment at all. As for heaven, a simple meeting may suffice. If I may resort to some more drastic measures," spoke Issei. "Man, I hate to be the unlucky people who are going to feel your wrath. Even Azazel is going to be scared shitless when he sees you again," muttered Donaseek. "You have no idea how pissed I am. Sir Zex is the first person on my list. Gonna use him as an example," spoke Issei while chuckling. Then he looked to the clock to see what time it was, and it was late. He was extremely tired. "Is there somewhere I can rest? I need to think for myself for a bit about what the future beholds," asked Issei. "There's a room upstairs. First door to your left, you can use it," responded Rainier. Soon he was upstairs, leaving the three downstairs to think to themselves about his story and their future. They all felt truly sorrowful and a bit of rage of what happened. They needed to get on his good side, since his enemies wouldn't be given any pity at all. Rainier saw this as a chance to try to rebuild the bridge between them, so she went upstairs to talk to him privately. She found herself standing behind the door, hesitating to knock on it. She hoped she could actually get somewhere with him. "Issei, can I come in? I want to talk," spoke Rainier outside the door. She heard a reply telling her to come in, so she opened the door and stepped inside. She was met with an unexpected result, a shirtless Issei. "Jesus, was he this packed?" thought Rainier with a monumental blush creeping on her face. What did you want to talk about? Asked Issei. Listen, Issei, I know we may have not been on the best of terms, but I would really love to actually be with you. I'm not asking you to accept me right away, just give me a second chance, please, that's all I ask. Rainier pleaded as she hoped for a good sign. Deep down, Issei knew there was still a spot she had in his heart for her. But it was the matter of if the past would continue to haunt him or not. He didn't know if he could trust anyone yet, since he just got abandoned by the ones he thought he loved him. She heard him sigh to himself, most likely thinking about it. That's when he closed his eyes. It seemed like he stopped as she waited for his answer. She was holding in a breath that seemed like it went on for eternity. When she opened them again, they weren't filled with rage, just calmness. They were actually softened. She saw a small smile come across his face for a brief second. Fine, I'll give you a second chance, responded Issei after a while of thinking. She was astonished at how quickly he decided. The only thing she could do was let the tears fall and rush to and hug him for all it was worth. He was shocked at the bone-crushing hug she enveloped him in. He definitely wasn't expecting this reaction from her. Okay, calm down. I need to sleep for tomorrow. We have a lot ahead of us, spoke Issei. What are we doing? Asked Rainier, confused. Training. Breaking into the Well of Souls will not be easy. We need to get stronger as a team and come up with a good plan, spoke Issei. Okay then, responded Rainier before dragging him onto the bed and using him as a hugging pillow. Ugh, not the point in arguing with her now. I'm clearly not winning it. Just gonna sleep, thought Issei. What do you expect? You said it yourself. You would give her a second chance. The girl's emotions were clearly bottled up in the moment when she saw her first at the bar. Now that you have claimed her fears, she couldn't hold herself back, spoke Dreg. I just have this nagging feeling that this is only the start. More girls will seem to flock over with me because I have this power. Fights will surely break out, responded Issei. So what, partner? You've always had the girls fighting for you. It's nothing new. Just new ones replacing the bastard old ones, spoke Dreg. Guess you're right. No use in getting worked up about it. What's done is done, thought Issei. Exactly. You need to focus on wiping them into shape. Their current strength won't do them any good in a fight against one of Hades' minions, responded Dreg. About that, Dreg and Bahamut, any ideas of what can I expect there? Asked Issei. You can obviously expect a small force of somewhat guarding the outside, while a few squads inside, maybe a few scouts outside as a clear warning system, responded Bahamut. Okay then, nighttime approach to be shrouded by darkness, then pick off the ones outside by separating them, then go for the ones inside, thought Issei as he started to piece his plan together. Soon the warm embrace of a girl sitting next to him pulled him in a deep sleep. Transfer to morning. When he awoke from his sleep, he shouldn't have been surprised with what he saw. After all, he did remember last night's events, but this is a little unexpected. Both Kalmar and Rainier each had one of his arms clenched between their breasts, and their grip was like steel. He was barely able to move without waking them both up. Cuckoo, partner, two busty girls added to your harem. It won't be long before more come to you, chuckled Dreg. Amusing to say the least, but you must focus. They need to be ready for when you go to the well, spoke Bahamut, amused. Issei groaned and finally managed to free himself from the girl's grasp and made his way downstairs. It was pretty early, and he noticed as he looked at the clock he expected the others not to be up yet. But as he arrived downstairs, he saw Donosik sitting in the living room watching the underworld news. So he did the natural and sat down, rubbing his eyes, trying to get leftover sleepiness gone. "Sup, boss? So what's the plan?" asked Donosik. "First off, just call me Issei, or Issei. Never was one of any sort of horrifics. As for today, I'm going to wait till everyone is present to explain the situation and ask questions of my own," responded Issei. "Anything I can answer for you?" asked Donosik. Okay. Out of you guys, what are the power rankings and who's the best at what?" asked Issei. "Well, I'm the brawn of the group, or as you could say. While Kalmar is the brains with magic, she was always the smartest if she even doesn't look like it. Rainier is deceptive and the one to go to behind with the finesse, as you already know," responded Donosik with a sly smile. Issei just huffed at the statement. "Okay then, for the first few days we are going to do some training to build a good strategy. Getting through the well's defense won't be easy. You guys need to be stronger if we're going to make it," spoke Issei. "Very well, I can take that easily," responded Donosik with a grin. "Also, wasn't there a fourth member of your group? I forgot her name though," Issei asked, confused. "Oh, Millet. Let's just say that Kalmar and Rainier had a falling out with her. She decided to go her own way. Haven't seen or heard from her in quite a while," Donosik replied. "Great. Now we just have to wait for the others," spoke Issei. "What about us?" asked Rainier as she came down the stairs with Kala. "To explain the situation," spoke Issei. "What is the situation?" asked Kala. "The well is heavily guarded as we thought. Based on what my dragons discussed last night, we will have quite the resistance when we strike. So for the next few days, we are going to train as a team so we won't get killed the moment we get spotted," explained Issei. Where were we trained? Asked Donoseek, confused. When I first came here, I saw a good area that was deserted near a mountain. We will be undisturbed there. I'm going to push each and every one to break through their limits. Bring it, challenged Donoseek with a grin. Fine by me, Kala Warner said. Let's go, Rainier screeched happily. Scene break, and as we go to the mountains, so we're transferring to the mountains. Soon the four of them found themselves standing in the mountains far away anyone who would disturb them. Okay, first things first. I'm going to test everyone to see where you are. You're first up, Donoseek, spoke Issei. Okay, what do you want me to do? Donoseek asked, not knowing what to do. Before anyone else could guess what Issei was thinking, they all heard the boosted gear call out command that both intrigued them and confused. Blade! Shouted the dragon booster as the familiar red light brightened up the whole entire area. When it died down, they were surprised and a little frightened by what they saw. A holy sword. Is that Kala Warner? Asked breathlessly. Ascalon? The dragon-slaying sword? I got it from Michael, the Archangel, just before the peace conference and merged with it with the boosted gear, explained Issei while slashing the ground a few times for a warm-up. Okay, Donoseek, what I want you to do is throw a lead spear at me. If I can slice through it with this sword, it needs work then, spoke Issei. It would be my pleasure, responded Donoseek with a grin. Before anyone else could see what's going on, Issei switched into his stance as he waited for the spear to come. In a second, Donoseek threw his light spear as hard as he could towards Issei. Rainier and Kala Warner thought he threw it a little too hard, but as they watched Issei, they noticed that he was calm and collected as he soon caught the slight of the spear coming towards him. Issei dashed forwards and did a downward slash, efficiently slicing it in two halves. Everyone stared into the two halves of the spear. It started to dissolve. See, that spear wasn't very well made. You need to put more into it. Magic itself has its limits in splitaniums, but there has always been ways to get around those without major consequences. Think of it this way. Devil magic is unstable, while holy magic is stable. Devil magic is naturally unstable, since most of them are destructive and powerful, while holy magic is more of a supportive. But don't get me wrong, holy magic can be extremely powerful if you know how to use it properly, explained Issei. Now I'm not an expert on magic, so don't think like that. I can't use advanced techniques, but I know the basic stuff. And magic fundamentally works. There are a multitude of ways to increase your magical potential. One way is your reserves. The stronger your body, the stronger your body, the more it can handle before your body breaks down on the inside. With more holy magic, you are pretty much using your imagination to create a spear. The more stable it is, the stronger it is, explained Issei. Kala Warner, since you're the magic person of the group, making a light sword should be easy for you, right? Issei asked Kala Warner. She looked at him for a moment while contemplating the idea. Okay, I guess I can try, Kala Warner replied with a shrug. She then closed her eyes and began to focus on the others watched her in anticipation. Soon a bright white light started to form in her hands. It started to grow in size. Soon after the light died down, she held it in her hands, a small light sword. Very good. With more practice, you can get used to it and make a better one. A sword will come in handy if you get into a tight situation and can't throw a spear, spoke Issei. Okay then, I will continue to practice with my sword, replied Kala Warner. Rainier, you are the deceptive type. The one to go behind someone's back with a finesse and deal a finishing blow, explained Issei. As soon as the three heard this, both Kala Warner and Donoseek smirked while Rainier looked down. Don't worry, I won't hold it against you, but I will push you harder as a little payback, spoke Issei with a grin. They all smiled at the statement. Rainier gave a challenging grin back at him. So what do you want me to do? Asked Rainier, confused. For you to be a good fighter with your skill set, you need quick reflexes and good speed. You need to be able to make a split-second decisions and act on them as fast as you made for them. For now, you're going to come at me and try to punch me. Land 5 successful strikes and we will take it up a notch. I won't be going easy though, explained Issei. Drake, 5 boosts and put them in my reflexes, Issei said in his head. Right on, responded Driggs. Everyone was waiting for Rainier to move to an attack. As they saw Issei get in his stance, they prepared for a good spar. That's when they heard the dragon booster. Boost, 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 boost. Everyone's eyes widened as they heard the boosted gear call out. They knew he was taking this seriously, so they had to be on guard to take it seriously as well. Before anyone knew it, Rainier had unfurled her wings and dashed towards Issei with quick speed. But Issei could see her movements clearly as she threw a right hook, trying to connect with his jaw. He quickly tilted his head back, making her miss by mere centimeters. He gave a grin, knowing this would be as fun as she continued her assault on him. She then tried to sweep him out from under his feet, but he saw through it that too much as he jumped in the air. he saw Rainier narrow her eyes and lunged at him another time and actually managed to land an uppercut to his jaw. All of them widened their eyes as soon as they saw him fly back in the air from the blow she delivered. Issei, are you alright? Rainier screeched as she realized she might have punched it with a little too much force in it. Yeah, I'm fine. That was a good punch, Rainier. Someone without my strength would have been definitely knocked out easily, Issei said after getting up from the ground. I will say this, you're doing better than I expected. You're already using your speed to your advantages, but try to mix it up a little with strikes and more often, or the enemy will be able to predict what he will do to you, Issei commented as he got into his stance again. He made a motion for her to come at him, and she did. He had to admit to himself that exceeded most of his first expectations. He knew in a couple of days they would be ready to tear through the well like a hurricane. Chapter 4. The Well of Souls. As Issei looked back on a few days his group spent training, he had to admit he was impressed. They had come quite the lengths in a short amount of time they used. Donosik was able to make multiple spears at once and they were strong as hell. Not to mention he was far powerful than before. Kalaware has built quite the magical reserves for training when she was first training. She was able to make very good swords with enough holy power to kill a middle-class devil. She was also able to manipulate light magic into making some grenades. Rainier had for the most part been able to go toe-to-toe with Issei when he was at 10 boost. She won a lot of the sparring matches they had. He was currently watching TV in the living room. Everyone was resting since they were going to attack the well tomorrow night. He was brought out of his thoughts as Bahamut started to talk out of nowhere. Issei, Bahamut said as he clearly needed to talk. Issei didn't know what he could want. He could only assume. Yes, Issei responded with the dragon in his head. I think it's time I elaborate on your situation a bit before you go back to the real world, Bahamut spoke suddenly. What do you mean situation? What are you hiding? Drag interrupted suddenly. He was clearly worried for his host. Calm down, Drag. It is not that bad at all. I hid it from you guys so you wouldn't worry, Bahamut spoke back. Worry about what? What is going on? Issei asked. I'm going to be blunt, Issei. You're going to become a dragon god. More powerful than you can imagine. You think the power you have now is amazing? Just wait till you get back to the land of the living, Bahamut joked. What do you mean? Issei asked, clearly confused. For you to understand, I'll need to elaborate a little more. The tools or weapons you called sacred gears is a common belief among the supernatural world that only the God of the Bible was the one to seal beings into a sacred gear. But the truth is that it is just a spell, and it can be used by supernatural beings with the capabilities required. Now there are two ways to seal a being into a sacred gear. One is that God did it. The way those sacred gears work is the way the sacred gear is given to its host, binding. And a short binding is a temporary bond between the host and the soul trapped within the gear, allowing the host to temporarily tap into its power, hence the boosted gear. It requires you to get stronger to be able to use more of its power. The other way I did it is merging. It is a quick way to do it. Not many beings are used to this way since the effects merging gives the full power of the being that was sealed firsthand to the host, efficiently making him extremely powerful right off the bat. The reason that most beings don't use this way is due to the fact that of its results. The main difference between binding and merging is that merging is permanent once the host dies. The being in the gear dies as well, hence the binding results in being will be passed on to its next host after the previous one dies, explained Bahamut. If it does that, why didn't you do it? Issei asked confused. There are a few work loopholes into it. If the being is a god or has godlike power, they can be sent to purgatory, hence I was there. Now that it is through, I will explain what I said about you being a dragon god, Bahamut said. What about it? Responded Issei, still confused. You have inherited all of my power. You are going to become a true dragon god. You haven't noticed it since you are in the land of the dead. Your real body is like a shell in the real world without a soul. The moment you enter the well and go back there, the changes will start to occur as you envelop into a dragon god. It won't happen as soon as you get back. Your body will adapt to the real world. At first, they will start to occur, Bahamut explained. What will happen? Issei asked, wondering what was in store for him. After a few days in the real world, you'll start to notice your magic reserves will grow exponentially. Then your senses will evolve, becoming more powerful. Then for a few days, you will be in incredible amount of pain as your body breaks itself and rebuilds it as a dragon over and over again. Then finally, you will fully turn into a dragon form before reverting back to a human form, completing the process, Bahamut said, letting it sink in. So you're saying I'm going to undergo a transformation of some type, asked Issei. Precisely. Your body will be evolving to handle the amount of power you've been given. There is also more. Your power will be easily recognizable, as many supernaturals can measure the amount of power someone has. Let me put it this way. You will be both feared and respected for your power, and there will always be the gods and other supernaturals who will want to challenge you. That is the way it is, spoke Bahamut. He is telling the truth, especially dragons. They are beings of pride. Power attracts power. It is inevitable, Drake commented. Bahamut, exactly how long will this whole process take? Issei asked, not knowing how long it would be. I cannot say for sure, though the first parts will pass by in a few days. Then the final parts will be delayed a bit. Most likely the whole process will be a week or two, Bahamut responded. Okay, now a few questions. You said that our real bodies are in the real world, so when we go through the well, will we need to regroup? Asked Issei, trying to piece a plan together. Precisely. You guys will need to regroup once entering the well, responded Bahamut. Okay then, we need to rework the plan a bit before we head out, thought Issei, as he needed to talk to the group once again, what he found out. Soon everyone was awake and they started walking downstairs. This was perfect for Issei, as he needed to let them know. Guys, come here. There's been a change in the plan. Nothing too serious, just needed to go over some new stuff, Issei said to the group as they arrived downstairs. Okay, what is it? Donut Seek responded. The moment we enter the well, we will need to regroup. So we will need to meet the abandoned church. Once you get there, do not make any sudden movements. We do not need the devils to know of our return. Second, I'm going to be going through a transformation when we are in the land of the living, explained Issei. What kind of transformation? Renaer asked worriedly. It seems Bahamut neglected to mention giving me the power will ultimately turn me into a dragon god. One with more power than I can imagine. He predicts the whole process will take about 2 weeks, explained Issei. What are the symptoms? Caller Warner asked, confused. He said at first my energy results will exponentially grow, allowing powerful amounts of magic. Then my senses will start to evolve as I start to become a true dragon. Then my body will start to tear itself apart as it rebuilds it continuously. Then finally I will turn into a full dragon form before reverting to my human form, completing the process, spoke Issei. Now everyone's eyes had widened. He was going to be more powerful than they could imagine. They could only imagine the things that they were going through his head. That's why he will be hidden for the first week, or as the process takes to complete. People will start to sense my energies as they grow. We will no be idle, though of course not. More like convert to try to find out what the devils are up to, explained Issei. I think we need a better base that the church, though, Donasik said. I agree. It'll only be temporarily until we can secure a good place to start, Issei said. Okay then. Everyone gets some rest for now, since we will strike at midnight, spoke Issei. Everyone nodded and went on their day as they usually did. So we're transferring to midnight, where the attack is going to be taking place. The group finds themselves on a ridge looking over the Well of Souls. Preparing them for the return, Issei could tell that it was truly guarded well. He could see a few patrolling groups walk along the wall, well guarded it. He could tell that he was in the right spot due to the blue light rose up into the sky from the ground. Truly a wonder to behold, he thought. Okay, you guys know the plan. Call a Warner. You distract them with a couple of light grenades in the distance and separate them. Renaer, you strike fast and hard, effectively taking them out. Then we regroup and head on inside and push forward, taking out anyone in our path, Issei said. They all gave a nod and went to work. Call a Warner threw 3 light grenades off to the east side of the mountain, causing a lot of commotion among the guards, making them scatter like it was nothing. Call Warner then nodded to Renaer, who formed 2 light daggers and radiated a lot of holy power, and they were sharp as hell. She dashed away quicker than even Issei could spot. He was impressed at the speed and reflexes she gained with her training. She quickly appeared behind several guards, slicing each of their throats, thus cutting the jugular vein, causing them to gasp out for breath as they quickly died from blood loss. She disappeared once again after finishing the rest off with the scattered guards. It was a massacre. It definitely looked like a beast had raged on outside. No one was left. They regrouped and made their way towards the main entrance. They stopped right behind it. Alright guys, this is it. No holding back in there. It's kill or be killed, spoke Issei. They all nodded, righted their weapons, and signaling for Issei to kick the door open. And he did. But they were met with something they didn't anticipate. Even Issei's eyes widened in shock. A Cerberus there were along 3 squads of guards. Shit, just my luck. A fucking Cerberus, Issei thought. It cannot match you, Issei. No need to worry, Drake commented. Issei, it is time for you to use some of my power. You need to make a mark on the world so Hades realizes he can't come for you. Show them the power of annihilation, Bahamut shouted in pride. Okay then, thought Issei with a grin. Okay guys, you take care of the guards and I'll take care of the Cerberus, Issei said to his group. Got it, responded the three men before going on to the guards. Issei turned to the three-headed guard dog and smiled. Well, Mutt, I hope you said your goodbyes, because you're going to die here tonight, shouted Issei. That's when a faint glow of gray mixed with red started to cover his entire right arm. Armadagon's descent, shouted Issei as he summoned his second sacred gear. He saw Cerberus rear its head back as if it was going to charge at him. Issei smirked at this. So how do I use this, Bahamut? Issei asked, confused as he stared at his arm. The first ability should be easy enough to use, Sphere of Annihilation, to use it. Concentrate the energy around you and compress it into a sphere. Then throw it at the dog to kill it, Bahamut instructed. So Issei closed his eyes and concentrated hard on the center of his palm. He felt a tremendous pressure building on it. Everyone else could feel it too, based on the looks of fear on the guards, and awe with his group. He opened his eye to see a spear of pure energy about the size of a softball in his hand. It looked similar to Cerzek's Ruin the Instinct, but it was mixed with gray and red with pure black lightning crackling off of it. Its power outclassed the power of Cerzek's Ruin the Extinct. Even Issei could feel its volatile power. That is, pure energy formed into a destructive ball. Extremely powerful. Easily enough to annihilate that dog, Bahamut spoke impressed. So that is the power of the Dragon God. I've heard stories of the insane power they hold in their hands. Truly a nightmare to witness at first hand, muttered Drake. Take this, you mutt, shouted Issei as he chucked it at the Cerberus. The sphere flew at the Cerberus. It didn't have a chance at all. As soon as it hit the Cerberus, the sphere expanded by 10 feet, completely covering the Cerberus in the Sphere of Annihilation. Then there were roars of agony from inside the sphere as it started to crackle with even more lightning. Soon after a few minutes, it started to dissolve, leaving nothing left of the Cerberus, not even a single ash. It was completely annihilated. Jesus fucking Christ, what the hell was that, Issei shouted at Donosik. Bahamut called it the Sphere of Annihilation. Fitting name, I guess, Issei responded as his own shock was gone. He looked around to find most of the guards dead or unconscious, while some had ran for their lives seeing Issei's new power. Well, whatever that was, next time warn us before you use it, before you use that power, Kalawarna spoke. Well, I guess that's the power of the Dragon God, muttered Issei. Come on, guys. Issei saved us from fighting that dog, so don't worry, we will be fine, Rainier spoke while grabbing Issei and embracing him. He had to force a blush down as he felt her breast push up against him. Come on, guys. Let's get to why we're here, spoke Issei as he walked to the door that was guarded by the Cerberus. With one fast motion, Issei kicked the door open, blowing it off hinges completely. Everyone was in awe of what they saw. The Well of Souls was truly a wonder to behold, swirling in light blue color mixed with purple. They could see a faint wisp of energy rise of the surface and go into the air. It definitely was something else. The power it gave off alone was astonishing. This is it, Issei spoke with a complete awe. No doubt, Kalawarna agreed. Well, what are we waiting for? Donosik groaned. Very well, let's go, Issei spoke. As the group went down the stairs and stood before the well, remember, regroup at the church and stay hidden, Issei spoke. They all gave up a nod as they all walked to the edge. They all gave a look to Issei as if they needed his approval. He nodded. All four of them jump at once, returning to the world of the living once more. Okay, so that will be it for part 2 of What If Issei Was Betrayed. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the series, and remember, the story is linked down in the description below. I did not make the story, but thank you all for watching. These do take a while to make. I'm also adding in my own vocabulary because sometimes it messes up, so I write it down a little bit more to make sure it goes more fluently. So hopefully you guys, again, did enjoy. If you did, like, comment, subscribe for more. Without further ado, peace.